Okay, for those of you who are here for not that, but oh, our reading room. We are here for our reading room. That's not supposed to say 3:15, but we are on day 20. All right, change the time on that. So let's go. I had some pistachios right before I came on. But they were separated, the chaff from the nut. We talked about that in one of the classrooms. I think it actually was critical thinking and not the spiritual classroom. Which is why I was thinking about changing the spiritual classroom and maybe just, having everything else be the spiritual classroom as well. But no, we're starting on a new topic. So go see the spiritual classroom and find out what our new topic was. Today, we do not have the philosophical classroom because that is a lot of work. And I need a break in between that one because it's just like so much in my head that I'm trying to hold in there all the time that I need a day off in between, even for that. Okay, so here is the book. Hello, there's a close-up of my eyeball. Goosebumps. I'll turn that off for a minute. Goosebumps. Look at new flowers. Look at how beautiful they are. Look at, they're so pretty, aren't they? Look at that. Those aren't a whole bunch of roses. They're all on that one stem. So 5 roses on this one stem. Isn't that awesome? They're so beautiful. All right, chapters 9 and 10. Be careful what you wish for. And if you recall, she made a wish and her brother, Ron, came out 1 foot tall. I froze like a statue. I felt cold as stone. Then, as the tiny figure emerged from the darkness, I started to laugh. Pumpkin, I cried. How did you get out? I was so happy to see him, so happy it wasn't a tiny Ron scampering over the grass. I picked up the little dog and hugged him tight. Of course, his paws got me covered with wet mud, but I didn't care. Sam, you've just got to chill, I scolded myself as Pumpkin struggled free. Your wish about Ron couldn't come true because Clarissa isn't here with her glowing red ball. You've got to stop thinking about the 3 wishes, I told myself. It's just dumb, and you're making yourself crazy over them. What's going on? How'd he get out? Ron cried, appearing from the side of the garage with the ball. Must have sneaked out, I replied with a shrug. We played a few more minutes, but it was cold and wet and no fun at all, especially for me. I want to put this up there. No, let's look at the flowers. There we go. I didn't sink a single basket. We finished with the foul shot competition, a short game of horse. Ron won easily. I was still on the O. As we trotted back to the house, Ron patted me on the back. Ever think of taking a tiddlywinks, he teased, or maybe Parcheesi? I uttered an unhappy wail. I had the sudden urge to tell him why I felt so disappointed, to tell him about the weird woman and the 3 wishes. I think she should have. I hadn't told Mom or Dad about her either. The whole story was just too stupid. But I thought maybe my brother would find it funny. I have to tell you about this afternoon, I said as we pulled off our wet sneakers in the kitchen. You won't believe what happened to me. Later, he said, pulling off his wet socks and tucking them into the sneakers. I've got to get to that homework. He disappeared up to his room. I started to my room, but the phone rang. I picked it up after the first ring. It was Corey calling to ask how my basketball practice had gone after school. Great, I told him sarcastically. Just great. I was so fabulous, they're going to retire my number. You don't have a number, Corey reminded me. What a friend. Judith tried to trip me in the lunchroom the next afternoon, but this time I managed to step over her outstretched sneaker. I made my way past Judith's table and found Corey nearly hidden in the corner near the trash baskets. He had already unwrapped his lunch and had a very unhappy expression on his face. Not grilled cheese again, I exclaimed, dropping my brown paper lunch bag on the table and pulling out the chair across from him. Grilled cheese again, he muttered, and look at it. I don't even think it's American cheese. I think my dad tried to slip in cheddar on me. I opened my chocolate milk carton, then pulled my chair up in closer. Across the room, some boys were laughing loudly, tossed a pink-haired troll doll back and forth. It landed in someone's soup, and the table erupted in wild cheers. As I picked up my sandwich, a shadow fell over the table. I realized that someone was standing behind me. Judith, I cried, turning my head. She sneered down at me. She was wearing a green and white school sweater over dark green corduroys. Are you coming to the game after school, Bird? She demanded coldly. I set down my sandwich. Yeah, of course, I'm coming, I replied, puzzled by the question. Too bad, she replied, frowning. That means we don't have a chance of winning. Judith's pal Anna suddenly appeared beside her. Couldn't you get sick or something? She asked me. Hey, give Sam a break, Corey cried angrily. We really want to beat Jefferson, Anna said, ignoring him. She had dark red lipstick smeared on her chin. Anna wore more lipstick than all the other 7th graders put together. I'll try my best, I replied through clenched teeth. They both laughed as if she had made a joke. Then they walked off, shaking their heads. If only my stupid wish would come true, I thought bitterly. But of course I knew that it wouldn't. I figured I was in for more embarrassment and humiliation at the game. I had no idea just how surprising the game would turn out to be. The game felt weird from the beginning. The Jefferson team was mostly 6th graders, and they were pretty small. But they were well coached. They really seemed to know where they were going, and they had a lot of energy and team spirit. As they came trotting to the center of the gym for the opening tip-off, my stomach was fluttery, and I felt as if I weighed 1,000 pounds. I was really dreading this game. I knew I was going to mess up, and I knew that Judith and Anna would be sure to let me know just how badly I messed up and how I let them down. So I was really shaky as the game started, and when in the opening tip-off the ball was slapped right to me, I grabbed it and started dribbling toward the wrong basket. Luckily, Anna grabbed me and turned me around before I could shoot a basket for Jefferson, but I could hear players on both teams laughing, and I glanced at the sidelines and saw that both coaches, Ellen and the Jefferson coach, were laughing too. I could feel my face turn beet red. I wanted to quit right then and go sink into a hole in the ground and never come out. But to my amazement, I still had the ball. I tried to pass it to Judith, but I threw it too low and a Jefferson girl stole it and started dribbling to our basket. The game was 10 seconds old and I'd already made 2 mistakes. I kept telling myself it was just a game, but it didn't really help. Every time I heard someone laugh, I knew they were laughing at me at how I started the game by running in the wrong direction. When I looked up at the score for the first time, it was 6-0 Jefferson. The ball suddenly came sailing to me, seemingly from out of nowhere. I grabbed it, but it slipped out of my hands. One of my teammates took it, dribbled, then passed it back to me. I took my first shot. It hit the backboard. A triumph for me, but didn't come near the basket. Jefferson took the rebound. A few seconds later, it was 8-0. I'm playing worse than ever, I moaned to myself. I could see Judith glaring angrily at me from across the floor. I backed up, staying in the corner away from the basket. I decided to try and keep out of the action as much as possible. Maybe that way I wouldn't embarrass myself quite so much. After about 5 minutes into the first quarter, things started to get weird. The score was 12-2 Jefferson. Judith threw the ball inbounds. She meant to throw it to Anna, but Judith's toss was too weak and the ball bounced to a short, blonde-haired Jefferson player. I saw Judith yawn as she ran after the girl. A few seconds later, the ball was loose, bouncing near the center of the court. Anna made a weak grab for it, but she seemed to be moving in slow motion, and the blonde Jefferson player snatched it from her hands. Anna stood watching her, breathing hard, perspiration running down her forehead. I had to stop and stare. Anna looked exhausted, and we'd only been playing 5 minutes. The Jefferson team dribbled all the way across the floor, passing the ball from girl to girl as our players stood and watched. "Let's go, Mustangs," Judith cried, trying to rouse everyone, but I saw her yawn again as she walked to the sidelines to throw in the ball. "Come on, girls, hustle, hustle," Ellen was shouting from the sidelines, her hands cupped around her mouth. "Run, Judith, don't walk. Let's look alive." Judith sent another feeble throw onto the floor. It bounced away from a Jefferson player. I scooped it up and started to dribble it, running full speed. Just outside the key, I stopped, turned, and looked for someone to pass it to. But to my surprise, my teammates were still far behind me, walking slowly, exhaustedly in my direction. As the Jefferson players swarmed around me, trying to take the ball away, I took a shot. It hit the rim of the basket and bounced right back into my hands. So I took another shot and missed again. Judith raised her hand slowly to catch the rebound, but the ball bounced right through her hands. She frowned in surprise, but didn't make a move to go after it. I grabbed the ball, dribbled twice, nearly tripped over it, and shot. To my amazement, the ball bounced on top of the hoop, landed on the rim, and then dropped through. "Way to go, Sam," I heard Ellen shout from the sidelines. My teammates uttered weak cheers. I watched them go after the Jefferson players, yawning and moving in slow motion as if in some kind of trance. Pick it up, Ellen was shouting encouragement, but her words didn't seem to help. Judith tripped and fell on her knees. As I stared in bewilderment, she didn't get up. Anna was yawning loudly, walking towards the ball, not running. My 2 other Mustang teammates also seemed to be wandering hazily in slow motion, making lame attempts to defend our basket. Jefferson scored easily. Judith was still on her knees, her eyes half shut. What on earth was happening, I wondered. A long, shrill whistle broke into my thoughts. It took me a while to realize that Ellen had called timeout. "Mustangs, hustle up," she shouted, motioning for us to cluster around her. I quickly trotted over to Ellen. Turning back, I saw Judith, Anna, and the others trudging over slowly, yawning, pulling their bodies with great effort. And as Ellen shouted for everyone to hustle up, I watched them wearily approach. Then I realized, to my amazement, that my wish had come true. All right, that's chapter 9 and chapter 10. So we will come back tomorrow for our reading room at our normal time, which is 3:45, right? Wednesdays we have it a bit early. And we will start with chapter 11 in our Goosebumps books. Thank you for joining me. This is Dr. Annette Feravich, and I am the teacher, and this is the classroom.